So the Institute for Policy and Social Research, our mission is really to advance social science and policy relevant research. And so community engagement is a key part of that. And it is so directly relevant to our mission that we report effectively about our research to a broad public and to the communities that are directly touched by the research that, that our faculty and our staff do. It increases the value of the work we do, and it recognizes that there is a reciprocal relationship between researchers and the communities that they engage. And because we're a public university in Kansas, we look hard for opportunities to support Kansas and Kansans. And we want to make the value of that very clear to the public that helps fund us, not only in Kansas, but also the federal dollars that support the research that we help to facilitate. And that stewardship of tax money, that's like an important value for us. And that's something that touches my work on the communication side, and also in the part of my job where I help researchers get and spend grants. I have a little bit to say about how we disseminate research, and then sort of a lot to say about what the kind of best stories, or what projects generate some of the best stories. So we disseminate our research in ways that you would expect, like press releases, and we have a newsletter, and we have a recently revived annual report. We put information on our website, we have social media accounts, but we also have a lot of events. We have conferences, we have these sort of smaller group lunch and learns that are a little bit more campus focused. And many of my colleagues present and network regularly with targeted regional groups and industry groups. So we have a lot of close relationships with the Kansas Association of Regional Development Organization and the University Economic Development Association. And our director, Donna Ginther, does a lot of work with the state government. So we really see making those connections to local and state communities as important ways of just kind of telling our stories and telling the story of our research, and like recognizing the community engagement in our research. So in terms of when we see some of the best stories coming out, my sense is that they are stories where the stakes are both immediate and personal, and where they also tie into urgent social problems. So the example I want to follow for just a moment is Hinjin is a researcher in the School of Journalism. She and her team work on technology education for women in transition. And the women they work with are returning after a period of incarceration, during which time they usually don't get to spend a lot of time on the internet or on computers. Incarcerated women are a rapidly growing population. They tend to have children. They tend to have broad social networks that are deeply affected by their incarceration. So this project tests a new approach to teaching digital skills. The participants are closely engaged in determining what kinds of skills they learn, and several other organizations and institutions are involved in kind of crafting the program and enhancing the program. So there are a couple of different levels of narrative here, right? One is the research story. There's a research question, and there are a few interventions, and they're kind of finding answers to that. At another level, we have this narrative about a society that has used incarceration in a number of ways that hurt individuals, and thinking about how we can sort of intervene in that situation on a big level. And then there is this like very natural story about the people who are involved in this program, and what that looks like for them, and what kind of outcomes they see. And here we also have this ethical concern, right? Which is that we, for confidentiality reasons, don't publicly talk about specific people who work through the program, but we look for ways to kind of help those stories bubble up. And it's my sense that research that is really responsive to the kinds of problems that we prioritize in our organization is necessarily deeply engaged with a community and is responsive to a community